It's not unusual to find parents leaving an inheritance for their children. But that was the least of Jacob's thoughts when he found a safe lying idle in a corner of a basement in his great-uncle Ray's farmhouse. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For Jacob, finding out that his great-great-grandfather had bequeathed the safe to the family was a surprise, but the contents of the safe will be a much sweeter surprise. Jacob will soon find the safe contained items of sentimental and financial value. The safe and its contents remained a mystery to Jacob and his family. Jacob was curious about how to open the safe to find out its content. He was excited and couldn't help but shared his exciting discovery on the internet, on a social media platform called Engur. Jacob, via his nickname 70bex, told his thousands of fans all about the mysterious safe he found. He also uploaded photos of the safe to validate his story. The day he found the safe, he had gone down to the old farmhouse to see if there was anything to salvage. And there was the safe, an impressive medium-sized vault. Also, his great-great-grandfather's name was engraved on the front of the chest. Jacob and his friend decided to move the safe from the old farmhouse. But it soon proved to be a Herculean task. They took a cart down the safe house to carry the safe, but the safe was too heavy to go up the stairs. Jacob wasn't ready to give up so soon. Instead, he decided to seek the help of his father. To move the huge safe, they had to build a slide to help the ascent of the cart carrying the safe. It was going to be much easier than trying to get the safe up the stairs. Jacob constantly updated his followers on the situation of things at hand. Jacob's father decided they should bring in a big machine to extract the safe from the farmhouse. On Engur, Jacob told his fans that the safe had resisted their male power. Their male strength wasn't enough to move the safe up the stairs. He shared that they had decided to attach a tow strap to a chain to pull the safe up the stairs. But just like the cart technique, this technique didn't work either. However, their father had suggested another way to pull the safe from the old farmhouse. After several failed attempts to get the safe out of the safe house, they finally found the best way to achieve their plans. They installed a handcart in the safe and then hoisted the handcart on a trailer. They were finally able to move the safe that weighed around 360 to 450 kilograms. Jacob and his father moved the safe from the old farmhouse into Jacob's garage. The garage was the first place that came to mind. So, the family decided it was best to leave the safe in Jacob's garage. Jacob then decided to clean his garage to make space for the safe. He told his grandfather about the safe they found. His grandfather seemed to remember the safe from his childhood. Jacob shared his grandfather's childhood memories with his fans on Engur. He told them that his grandfather remembers great-great-uncle Ray moved the safe from his previous farm to the new one where he lived till he died. From Jacob's conversation with his grandfather, he was able to gather that the safe belonged to his great-great-grandfather. His grandfather also revealed that he had a copy of the original invoice. The invoice contained the correct combination of the safe. Jacob was going to be able to finally open the safe and find out its content. He was excited as he thought it to be some family treasure hunt adventure. But he had to first familiarize himself with the safe's code system to be able to get it open. Jacob explained the complexity of the safe's locking system to his Engur fans. The first digit of the code had to be put in a clockwise direction. Then you had to turn the dial counterclockwise 3 times before entering the second digit of the code. After entering the second number, the dial has to be turned clockwise twice to enter the third number. And finally, before entering the last number, turn the dial once counterclockwise. Jacob admitted to his fans that the invoice had made his job easier. He will never have been able to open the safe without it. Jacob said this of the safe's recent owner. When it came to money, Ray was an avid collector. He was the Scrooge, the stingy of the family. So, I had no idea what to expect as I turned the key in the lock. Jacob's great-uncle Ray adored gold, land, and classic dollar bills. But he made money mostly from the stock market. Jacob finally had the safe opened, but the contents of the safe weren't as he expected. The safe contained an old folder full of documents and a box that seemed to contain jewelry. Jacob was disappointed with the contents of the safe. There was no fortune inside, and the jewelry box was also empty. Just some old documents that didn't seem to be of any value. Jacob's hopes were dashed, and his countenance fell when he thought he had done all those hard work and thinking for nothing. He checked the old documents to see if they contained some important information. He found that the documents were annuities that Great Uncle Ray had set up for himself and a handful of associations. Ray was able to set up these annuities through his inheritance, various insurance policies and wills. Among all the piles of documents, Jacob also found 2 Walt Disney Company stock certificates. One of the certificates included 10 shares, and the other 20. Jacob was disappointed as he first thought they had no monetary value and that his uncle's assets had been liquidated. He shared his disappointment with his fans and told them he was going to frame them and put up on the wall as a part of his family's history. After sharing his intentions with his fans, Jacob stopped wondering about the documents. He promised his fans that he will find out more about the history of the vault. His followers advised that he dig further into the certificates and see if they were of any value. Jacob was starting to consider doing just as his fans advised. If the stock certificates were still valid, the value of the shares could exceed $50,000. Jacob had mixed feelings. He was both scared and excited. He told his fans he was going to talk to the bank tomorrow about the certificates and promised to keep them updated. After talking to the bank, he returned to Ngur to share his findings. Earlier in a post on Ngur, he had told them that he only found a handful of old financial documents that were no longer valid. He also mentioned that some documents were just financial records that didn't mean much, but he was yet to find out more about the stock certificates from Walt Disney that accounted for 30 shares. Jacob had gone ahead to investigate the Walt Disney certificates. His fans fueled his interest further when they claimed the certificates looked genuine and very well kept. Soon, the news surrounding the Walt Disney stock certificates reached him, and as usual, he decided to update his followers on the matter. They were also very much interested in seeing how his investigation went and if it brought good news. The news reaching Jacob confirmed that the stock certificates were valid. He also learned that stock certificates were traditionally passed from hand to hand, and it could only be destroyed after the money was withdrawn. But his great-uncle didn't destroy the certificates, so it meant the certificates were still valid. Jacob decided to employ the services of a financial advisor to enlighten him further on matters surrounding the 2 Disney Walt stock certificates. On Ngur, he shared that the certificates were still valid, and that the 30 shares from the 2 Disney Walt stock certificates were still usable. Then, he didn't know much about Disney's stock market rating. He and his grandfather were still in the process of changing the name on the certificate to remove them from his great-uncle's legacy. The estimated value of the shares was around $3,000 and it could be more. The Ngur community were a part of Jacob's success story. They had encouraged him further to investigate the stock certificates when he had lost all hopes about the old documents. Jacob was overjoyed, and so he wrote a thank you message to his fans. A big thank you to filmmaker IQ for encouraging me to find out more about the certificate. And to all the other people who were convinced that he was right, thank you. Jacob added that he was happy he recounted his adventures with the safe on Ngur. If not, he could have just framed the certificate and kept it as decorations of sentimental value. He also told his fans that he had no intentions of selling the certificates. He was going to take them back and just add his name to the certificate. The Ngur community were pleased to have been of great help in helping Jacob recover his great-uncle's assets.